Marshall in the middle.
One of the things that we were talking about today, Joe and I, prior to our discussion, is worth talking about now. And I had a situation as a first sergeant that was one of the toughest things in my career to do. Basically, basically, I had a soldier on his birthday that was at the bar right outside the post gate, and he was drunk, and he had juicy girls on each side of him, and his buddies were all around him, and he was hanging out having a good time for his birthday. Well, previous to his birthday, like for months, he had been one of the most vocal guys about like cheating on your wife or all kinds of stuff. He was very vocal about it. And so all of a sudden, his platoon sergeant, a female, walks up into the bar and sees him with these two juicy girls, arm in arm, and she walks up to him and she confronts him. And she ends up, and I've got sworn statements. I got all kinds of stuff where she said, "Oh yeah," and she reached back like that, and she went, "You know what you're doing," and walked out. She slapped him. It hit him about that hard, right? Sworn statement. I'm a first sergeant. She's my star platoon sergeant. She's trashed. She's drunk, drunker than Cooter Brown. Get her. Do you swear to tell the truth? The whole. I'm serious. I'm like this, and she's like, first sergeant, I don't remember shit. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't have a clue. And here I've got my own soldier saying, I want her arrested for assault. And I sworn statements all around. It was crazy. But it was an amazing thing to try to, keep my star platoon sergeant out of jail. But also, while looking at my orderly room clerk, one of the guys that works closest to me, and look at him and go, what the hell are you doing, dude? He's like, it's my birthday. I can go out if I want to. I'm like, I wanted to slap him then,
Yep.
So that's just one thing that we were talking about. So what did I end up doing? Right? I had to shuffle my platoon sergeant off, keep him from calling the MPs, and it disrupted my whole unit. But it is what it is. But I wasn't going to let him put her in jail.
Well, okay, but hold on. So this goes back to your orientation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
I'll make the argument that you had a lot of options.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, I could have said, look, my hands are tied. Look at all these statements. I've got to dial 911. I've got to. Right? It's obligation. I could have easily done that. Right? Look, I went to my command sergeant major, and I closed doors. And I said, I need some help, right? I went to my other buddies and said, help me. I went to my battalion commander and my XO off the record, and said, help me. What do we do? And we figured out a plan. And I had to talk this guy into going along with it and not pressing charges and stuff. And it's interesting because today we had invited him to be a part of this project, Joe and I, this guy. Mm-hmm. And he posted, apparently, I guess he posted where he did a podcast or some kind of recording about his Korea experience and how he got all this positive feedback. But by the time I was able to get to it to read it, he's pulled it, right? And look, Joe, he's part of our tribe, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he is tight with our little kind of group, but it's an interesting thing, right? Our minds and the way we build up and the things that are important to us and stuff. But I'm going to tell you, at the time, I felt as if his desire for justice was less important than the long and historied career of a soldier that was on her way to the top, and that infraction was crazy to make a big deal about. From my orientation, my OODA loop.
And this is why we're having this conversation, because
he needs to look at his OODA loop.
You could have easily, someone could have said, "You're done, First Sergeant. You are done. We are removing you because I don't have faith in you anymore based on that decision that you made." You can say, "Okay, I did the right thing," and that's fine. But we didn't really, I'll tell you this. So the fact that you went around and asked all those other opinions is actually critical to me. Because if we had done the things that I'm sort of alluding to and starting to talk about, you would not have done that. You wouldn't have asked anyone else. You would have said, "Here's how I see it. Here's what I observed. Here's what I oriented to. Here's what I decided. That action will have a consequence." Okay. And I will orient to that. By going around and asking everyone else for their input, you actually are now trying on, well, let's see what Joe's OODA loop would bring him. And let's see what Jeff's OODA loop would bring him and all that. And they're not yours. But we never actually taught you that. We never brought you to that place so that the conviction of your decision belonged to you. Now, I can say that today because of 2 years of writing this blog, of 2 years of going, I did what you told me to do. Okay. But then I realized that there were limits to what the Army could tell me to do.
Marshall in the middle.